benefits from minimum expenses is called as in a project formulation. So project formulation will help you to do this, isn't it? So then we had seen different like stages where we have to incorporate the project formulation in a cycle, like right from the conception of the ideas, and then selecting the products, and then formulating the project, and last finally you will be designing a project. Okay. And then we had seen the factors analyzed in the project formulation: technical, economical, managerial, financial, commercial, organizational, legal. Okay, then we had seen how well the project size is dependent on, it is dependent upon the type of the investment, the type of the operation of your firm. Okay. Then we had seen how to set a goal, or how to set the different types of objectives in a firm, like generalized, there are operational, which are when you implement a project, or when you're manufacturing up a product, how, what is the implementation, what is the result of that implementation of the product in the market, that you will see it as an operational objectives. Then we had seen one of the important topic called the stages of the project formulation. It is categorized into 7 different types. And first one is feasibility, techno-economic, project design and network analysis, input analysis, financial analysis, social cost benefit analysis, pre-investment analysis. We had seen everything in detail, like feasibility analysis. We'll be checking whether the project idea feasible or not. If it is not, what to do the improvement of that. Then we will be going to certain conclusion, that is feasibility analysis. Then second one, we had seen what is a techno-economic analysis. We in terms of technology, the what is optimized technology, how well your product is analyzed in terms of economically, in the sense you will be learning about the demand analysis, whether the product is giving the correct result or not. That all analysis you will be doing here. Okay, coming to the third one. The third one is nothing but where you will be dividing the project into different entities, or you can simply call it as different activities. In each activity you will be learning the sequencing, whether there is a relationship between the first activity and the third activity, second and fourth, or first and second. You will be learning the relationship, and you will be dividing it. That you call it as network diagram, and we will see this network diagram, how to calculate the time allocation, all this in the unit 4. Okay. And then we had seen the fourth one is input analysis. Once the project is divided into different parts, each part you will be gathering how much is the input you need. Okay, gathering individual inputs for the individual activities, you call it as input analysis. Input analysis in the mind, it is nothing but you will be gathering the information regarding the material, human resources, the recurring resources, which is a repeated resources, non-repeated resources, all those you will be gathering the inputs required for the individual activity. So we had correlated with your final year project, isn't it? Then the fifth analysis is the financial analysis. What is the operating cost, what is the fund requirement, what is the cash flow in your firm. All this you will be studying it in the financial analysis. Then in the cost benefit analysis, cost benefit analysis nothing but it is not only the direct cost, it could be the maintenance cost, or it could be an indirect cost. All these you will be studying in detail, and you will be calculating the total cost in this. Okay. Then this is the last analysis in the project formulation, where you will be consolidating is nothing but in your finally, after you write, after your final examination, you will get a consolidated marks memo, isn't it? Consolidated means it is a combination of the all the semester marks. So you will be getting the consolidated analysis in the all the cost benefit financial, all these analysis you will consolidate it, and you will be now trying to to talk with the consultancies or specialists, and you will have a discussion with them. Okay, then this is the last. Then the last topic which I had discussed was the project report. How you have to frame your project report. That is the what is the contents you need to write it in a project report. Like I will be showing you the contents now. The first and foremost thing, you have to have of objectives and scope of the report, then product characteristics, market position and trends, raw material, manufacturing and plant machinery, land building, financial implications, market channels, personnel. So these are the contents in the project report is nothing but it's a documentation or a legal work where you will be presenting in with the investors or the consultants who will be investing you or who will be supporting your company. That is called as a legal or documentation. You call it as a project report. Okay, then today's topic we will see how to do a market and a demand analysis. So we had seen all the 7 different analysis. So now we will see in detail. Okay, why to do the demand analysis in a company? When I'm setting a company, when I launch a product, I am okay with the product specification. I'm okay with the machine material, everything, the ideology, the even the persons who are working under me, they are okay with the product, they are able to manufacture it. But you have to understand what is the demand of the product when I'm launching in the market. Just I wanted to give an example. Okay, 3 years back there was a venture in Shamshabad. There was a venture in Shamshabad. That was a government venture. They had a in the government website called telanganahousingboard.com. If you want, you can search it. You just type it, the telanganahousingboard.com. You just type it, Telangana Housing Board, in Google. You will be getting a website where they will be giving the projects. They will be building the houses. Okay, they will be building the houses and they will be giving you an application form. Like anyone can apply that based on your income, annual income. You can apply it, just 1,000 rupees or just about 1,000 rupees. They will ask you to submit the DD. Okay, what they will do, the government, they will do a demand survey. What is a demand survey is, let's say they are having an 100 square yards area. Okay, 1,000 square yards area. They will give a demand survey. Like they will see the application forms. After giving the application status in the website, they will see how many applications are coming. Let's say case 1, they are getting only 10, but they are having an allocation of 100 houses, but they got 10, only 10. So what they will do, the demand is less. 100 houses they have to build, but the application forms they got is 10. So as 10 is less than 100, what they will do, they will cancel this project. They will wait till they get more than 100, till they get more demand, then only they will start this project. That you call it as demand survey. So they will see how many applications are coming. If it is more than 100, they will do the auction. They will do the auction, or they will take a lottery, and they will select 100 among, either if you get 150 applications, they will select the 100 from the 150 from the lottery, and they will start this venture. Generally in the government housing board procedure, this is a demand survey, like how many applications you are getting, what is the demand of the project. If it is less, they will stop. They will try to decrease the amount of the house, and it will grasp the attention of the people. If it is less, everyone will start putting the application. If it is more than the real rate, they will not, right? So that's the why a demand analysis is important. Demand analysis is like when you are launching a product, you should know what is the size of the market. what is the, if I'm launching a product, what is the product launched, the same similar project would be launched by your competitor. You should try to have an analysis or an a survey of, either you can take the survey from you every monthly you will be getting a monthly bulletin from Reserve Bank. Okay, sometimes you can have an economic survey, sometimes you can get a statistical yearbook. From this you will get an information whereby when I launch a product, there should not be there should not be much loss, right? Sometimes there will be a saturation of demand, right? So that all you will be studying here, how to do a demand and a market analysis for a product, right? is it is it clear? Yes.
Yes,
Hello.
ma'am. Yes, yes, ma'am.
I'm worried about this because last class you had muted me. Myself, I got muted by the students. So if I talk continuously, if you mute me, I'll not know it. I'll be just talking to the system. Last class it had happened. You had removed your friends and you had muted your teacher itself. Okay, so just respond me if you are understanding. At least raise your hand so that I will be going to the next
Yes, ma'am,
slide.
we are understanding.
Yes, thank you. Okay, the coming to the next slide. Okay, so now we will see what are the methods of a demand analysis. So there are about 5 different methods. First one is the market identification. Second one is the business cycle. Third one is a product niche. Fourth one is a growth potential. Fifth one is competition. I repeat, I'm telling you the students, please write the points. I am not writing the definitions of each and everything in the slide. Even though if I share this PPT to you, I am not giving you the total information what I am uttering now. So please write the points in your notebook. Okay. So the 5 different methods of demand analysis are market identification, business cycle, product niche, growth potential, and competition. Okay, so now we will see all these 5 different types of methods. Methods are nothing but every company will be doing the analysis in different varieties. Some companies, they will be studying about, they will be getting a number from national census or national sample survey reports. There are some statistical abstract of national, all these, like there are some gathered information, like let's say from in student point of view, when they do the projects, they may be getting some information from the patented papers. They may be getting from information from international conferences. They may be getting if they go for machine point of view, they get specifications from the manual. Okay, so likewise, a company, each company will be doing different methods to get an analysis regarding the demand of the product. Okay, so first we will see what is a market identification. So let me read what I had written in the PPT here slide. Okay, so market identification is like consumer feedback to determine their satisfaction with the current product and services. So what is this is like a company XYZ, it will go and take the feedback from the consumer about the current product. Whatever the product they are doing, they will be seeing whether there is an ups and downs of that current product. If there is a down or there are some drawbacks, there are some cons or pros or cons between the about that current product, they will start doing some improvisation, and they will be launching some new product, isn't it? If there is no demand for the current product, it's waste of doing the production, isn't it? Let's say I'm manufacturing a mobile phone. Now if the number of users of that mobile phone are less than the previous one, it's waste of launching it, it's waste of producing, manufacturing that mobile phones. Stop that manufacturing unit, study on why there is a drawback of that, If there is certainly, if the product if there is a less demand of the product, either it could be a drawback because of the product usage or aesthetic, or either the utilization of the product is low. So all these you have to study about the current product, and now you have to start identifying where I'm standing in the market, whether I'm going, my shares of my firm is going up or down because of my current product. What is the graph? Okay, so because of this market identification, a firm will have a chance to expand. A firm will have a chance to expand in different corners because of studying the drawbacks. He will be starting improvising the current product, and now he will be in a stage to launch a new product. He'll be doing some changes to that, and he will be launching that product. That you call it as market identification. Okay, the next one is business cycle. Okay, so now a company, what it will do, it will study in which stage they are. There are three different cycles in a business cycle. All of you please listen to this, very very important. I didn't give the definition here, so let me explain these three different cycles, and it is very very important in entrepreneurship. Okay, the first one is emerging, second one is plateau, third one is declining. Okay, let me tell what is the emerging. Emerging stage is nothing but, let's say I'm having a product, a product. If to that product there is a higher consumer demand and low supply of the current product services, that you call it as emerging. To that a product, there is a huge demand, there is a more demand, many people are trying to buy that, but the supply of the goods and services for that a product is low and demand is high, that you call it as emerging cycle. Coming to the plateau cycle. Plateau cycle is, here the supply of goods and services for the a product and the demand, the current demand of that a product, both are same, both are balanced. The demand is same, the same. Let's say 10 people wants to buy my a product, and I'm having the same amount, the same goods and services for that product, both are same, the number is same, that you call it as a plateau cycle. Okay, coming to the declining cycle. Declining cycle, the name itself saying it is declining, it is dropping down. Now, what is dropping down? Demand is dropping down. So, here there is a lagging demand for the A product. Though I am having the goods and services, I am having the manufactured part, the number of the products what I am manufacturing is to some extent, but demand, there is no demand for that product, that you call it as a declining cycle. So an entrepreneur must study when he's launching the product in a market. He has to do a survey on it, and he has to take in which cycle the product is falling, whether it is in a emerging or a plateau or declining. If it is in a plateau, he will be on the wall. Okay, not as it is having the demand, the number of units are same and the demand is also same. Emerging means more demand, but you're having less goods and services. So what you have to do, you have to boost up your manufacturing unit. You have to, in order to, otherwise if your the demand is more but the products are less, what will happen? A person like me, when I'm going to a shop, I wanted to buy a tea or a coffee which is more tasty, okay, which is more, I'm preferring that tea, but the if the tea, the unit is not available in the shop, ultimately I'll feel bad, okay. I will be trying to go, I'll go to some other shop and I will buy it. So the more demand you have, the more you have to strive for increasing the goods and services, the flow of the product, the flow of the product, you call it as the goods and services. The more units you have to manufacture, right? So based on this different cycles, entrepreneur has to analyze the demand, how much is the demand, how much is the flow of the goods and services, and thereby he has to carry forward his manufacturing unit. Okay, coming to the next slide. Next slide is product niche. Okay, I would like to know the meaning of product niche. Just type it product niche in the Google and tell me. Product niche. What is product niche? Just type it. What is product niche? Are you there, students? Are you there? Students,
ma'am.
are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, just type it product niche in your Google Chrome or Google browser and tell me what is the meaning of product niche, because this word is something new for you. What is product niche? Mutyam, 2071, you are on hold. What is the reason behind that? 2071. 2071. You are on hold. Yes, what is the meaning of product niche? Are
Which
you able?
specific product is focused?
Yes, specific product is focused. You call it as product niche. Okay, let me explain that with an example. Okay. Right, product niche. Let me read what is written here and then I will try to explain. Product niche. Companies will develop a product that meets a specific niche or specific utilization is in the market. Many companies will conduct tests in sample market. Please mute your mics. Many companies will conduct tests in small markets to determine which of their potential product sales is most preferred by consumer. Companies will also develop their goods so that competitor cannot easily duplicate their products. So product niche is nothing but, let me give an example. This HP printers are there, isn't it? Okay, this HP company, what they will manufacture, they will manufacture desktops, printers, fax machines, right? So what they had done initially, they had launched these printers in a market. Previously, there was a common printers for household applications and the companies. Now, what they did, the printers or whatever the desktop applications or some the machineries, they had made it differently for the normal household, the normal applications, and the company huge manufacturing units. The machinery is different. Both will print whatever you give the print to the system, but the applications, the specifications of the machine is different. That you call it as product niche. Launching a product to a specific purpose or a specific utilization, you call it as product niche. They will take a survey from the consumers or the people from they will take a sample of the population. We will see how we'll take this survey in the future PPT, in future slides. So what they will do, they will take a sample of the population or the people around their market, and they will take a survey of how they are utilizing the product, how they are preferring the product. Okay, and based on that survey, they will try to manufacture based on the specified applications. That you call it as product niche. Thereby what will happen, you are trying to expand your market. Even I'm using an HP printer, and even the entrepreneur, a big large scale unit, even he's also using, but the application, the specification of that machine is different, but ultimately both are printing. but the purpose of the machinery is different. I am using it for the A4 size or to my application, but he will be using of his application. That is project niche. Okay, then the next one is, this is a different method where is like let me give an example of iPod or iPad. Apple iPod or iPad is an example for this. Okay, okay, let me give an iPod or an iPad as an example, right? What is happening every year, you are getting a different new generation of your iPod phones. What you are doing, if you are getting whenever the product is launched, some people will be having like they will see the brand of that product. One, they want to buy the iPod, I'm sorry, that is iPad, I think so, ipad phone, as it is having the brand name, even though the price is more, the price is the same phone in the same company, will be getting the same, some features are same. Some iPad, ultimately some features, it will be having an exclusive features, I agree with that. But the you are giving money, you're buying the product as it is. If it is launched at the 12 midnight, you will be trying to buy it because of the brand name of that iPad. Apple, I want to buy that because it is having a branded name. It is an what do you call the what you say, I that is a branded sort of thing where I am putting my hand on it so that I have to buy. I am the I want to be the first person to buy that. Okay, so what is happening here, the Apple company, it is launching the new phone in every year, whereby the growth is increasing because of launching the new product. So everyone is trying to buy that product because some new phone or some new features are added. So that is making the growth of the company, that is making ultimately everyone is trying to buy that phone. So the number of products are increasing, the manufacturing unit is increasing, the more demand is for that product. So launching a new specialized product in a firm, and whereby there will be an increase in the consumer demand, that you call it as growth. This is one of the method where it is just like a tactics of a firm, just increasing launching a new product in a firm, whereby a person or the people in a society will try to buy the product, thereby the demand of the product is increasing. That is growth. Let me read the definition. While every market has an initial level of consumer demand, specialized products can create a sense of usefulness which will increase the demand. That is called as a growth. Okay, so the best example is iPad or iPod. Okay, so the next method is competition. Competition is nothing but, okay, now I wanted to portray an example here. I am having a shop. Okay, I am owning a shop in a colony. In a colony, I am owning a shop, let's say a grocery shop. Okay, there are some 10 lanes in a colony, but I am having only one shop. Ultimately what will happen, every person will try to come and buy, because there is no other go, they will come and buy my products. So there is a demand for my shop, demand for my products, what I am selling it. Okay, now what happened, after few months, to the next lane the other shop started, there was another shop. So he also started the grocery shop. So what happened, the person who are in that second lane, they will not walk to my shop and they will buy, they will go to the second shop. Then after few days there was another shop in the third lane. So the for every 2-3 months the shops were increasing. So what is happening, there is a saturation of demand of the product what you are selling. So even though you are giving some discounts or whatever, the people will always try to buy from the shops which is nearby. They will not come to you and they will buy, isn't it? Previously there was only one shop, but now there are 1 to 10 shops. So there is no demand of the product, there is a saturation level of the product. So now what you have to do, you have to study the competition. Now try to change the market structure of your product, or stop the production, or stop that shop, and try to put some other new in that, or tea stall, or either it could be some hotel or something new, so that people will now grasp to you and they will buy your product. So you should see whether if there is a saturation of your demand of the product. You have to be careful that what is the competitors behind you. If they are selling the same product, people will not assess, people will try, generally people will want to buy a product which is nearby. They will not go to unless or other, like if you are giving if there is a perfect mouth publicity or perfect publicity of your shop, they will come. But even though if it is nearby, they will, okay, for today we'll buy from here. Why to go there too far and buy from there the same product, the same price you are getting here? Okay, so that is called as studying the competition. It is a very, very important factor in the analysis, like determining the how many number of competitors are there, what is market share, how is the saturation level of the demand of your product. So how well you have to do some improvements to achieve the profits, right? So how well you are doing the changes or improvements, something new you're doing. See that MBA tea stall, I didn't show the video to you. MBA tea stall, a person who wants to pursue MBA, but he couldn't get the MBA seat. So what he had done initially, he had started the tea stall in a hospital, but he didn't find much profit. So what he had done, he had taken the survey from different localities. That's why I'm telling you, if you talk with a tea stall person, talk with a grocery shop, tell him that we wanted to take a survey, how you are stabilizing your shop, if you are getting an ups and downs, what you are doing it to boost up your shop, from where you are getting the product, how you are selling, what is the strategies you are doing, how you are attracting the people, like how you are advertising, how you are doing the commercialization. If you study on it, you will know what I'm explaining here. Practical experience will help you a lot rather than listening to my PPT. Okay, so what is that, like you will be studying the saturation level of the demand. So that MBA person, he had studied the nooks and all the corners of Gujarat, and what he had taken, he had first tried to name his tea stall. Naming the tea stall is also very, very important. So what he had done, he kept MBA. M was his surname, B was something, and A was his the city name. So MBA, in the sense, the people started, okay, what is this MBA tea stall? What is something new in that tea stall? So they started going inside the tea stall. So what he had done, he kept a whiteboard there. In that whiteboard, he had said that anyone, if he's having, like a person, let's say I'm having an requirement of plumber. Okay, I'm a plumber. I'm a plumber. So these are my qualifications. If anyone is needed a plumber, you can contact me. See, some persons will have some persons like job seekers, so they are writing on that whiteboard, thereby having a cup of tea in that MBS tea stall, and they will see that advertisement, and thereby the mouth publicity will be occurring. So that's the feature of that MBA tea stall. Okay, so thereby, in when you when you start a business, when you do some business, you should first be aware of how many competitors are there around you. though you're having a goal to start a company, but you should also know what is the competition level in a society, right? Is it clear? Is it
Yes,
clear?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. The next slide is about the key steps involved in a market and demand analysis. Key steps in the sense, what are the steps that must be taken by an entrepreneur to do a demand analysis? Just like that, they can't do the demand analysis, right? They can't know the number of competitors. They'll in getting gathering the information or getting the right information, like the information should be accurate, it should be having a higher accuracy, and it should be reliable, isn't it? The information you are gathering should be relevant to your product. Just like that, going and taking a census survey, it will not help you, but it should be relevant to the product what you are launching. So these are the different steps which are involved when you do an analysis to a product. Let me read that steps. This is very, very important. And again, I'm telling you, please make a note of it. Okay. The first one is situational analysis and specification of objectives. First one is situational analysis and specification of objectives. Second one is collection of secondary information. Collection of secondary information. Third one is conduct of market survey. Conduct of market survey. Fourth one is characterization of the market. Characterization of the market. Next one is demand forecasting. The last one is formulation of the market plan. Okay, so these are the key steps or important steps that must be involved when you are doing a demand analysis of a product. So let's see all these in detail. First, let's see what is a situational analysis and specification of objectives. And again, I'm telling you, I didn't give any definition or sentences of each and every point. I'm just explaining it. Please, all of you, make a note of it. If you're not understanding, then and there you can ask me. If it is a generalized questions, like how to raise a capital or how to start up or what are the approaches, just tell me at the ending. I will take one day time in the next class. I mean, tomorrow, Tuesday at 11:20, I will be studying on it and I will prepare a PPT. As it is an online session, I can show my work through PPT. So if it is a generalized questions, you can ask me or you can even text me to my WhatsApp number also. Okay, so coming to the situational analysis and specification of objective, it is just like getting a perfect relationship by a project analyst. Whoever will do this analysis, you call it as analyst. Okay, whoever is doing this demand analysis, separate persons will be there in a company, that you call them, the role of that person, you call them as project analyst. Okay, so this project analyst, what they will do, they will have an informal talk. They will have an informal talk or conversation with the customers and the competitors. When they're having a talk with them, they will get some information, isn't it? That is an informal talk, and thereby they will be studying on the conversation among them. Okay, and they will be trying to talk the topic, just like that, calling them. Okay, you are launching a product, what is the competition? They'll not tell, right? So what are the questions you have to have an informal talk? Let me give that questions. Where and how to market a product? So these project analysts, they will have a talk with the competitors and the customers, and the topic what they will talk is how to market a product. Who are the buyers of the product? What is the current demand of the product? What is the prospects of immediate sale? all this information, they will have an informal talk with the competitors and customers. Let me again repeat for you. Situational analysis is nothing but just an informal talk between a project analyst and a competitor or a customer regarding the demand, the current demand of the product. What is the buyers? Who is the buyers of my product? What is the market when I'm launching? What is the market structure, or what is the demand of the product? What are the prospects when I'm immediate? What is for an immediate sale? What is the prospects of that immediate sale? That you call it as situational analysis, and setting the objectives based on that talk is called as a situational analysis. Okay. Second one, collection of secondary information. There are generally in every firm or every company or any business, there are two different types of gathering the information. First one is primary information. Second one is secondary information. Let me tell what is a primary information. Primary information is nothing but if you are collecting for the first time. Okay, if you are collecting for the first time, that for the specific purpose, for the first time, if you are collecting, that you call it as primary information. Let me repeat. Any company will gather two different types of information to do any analysis. Either it could be financial or cost benefit analysis or demand analysis, or a feasibility analysis. They will be gathering two different types of information. For the first time, if they are gathering for the specific purpose, that you call it as primary information. Okay, then the secondary information. Secondary information is which is gathered, which is already gathered in some context, or the information which is already available, information, that you call it as secondary information. Okay, secondary information is already available, or available context, based on the context already the written literature, that you call it as secondary information. Okay, let me give now the examples of secondary information. Okay, when I'm telling you twice thrice is like if a student is starting an enterprise. He wants to be an entrepreneur and he wants to start an enterprise, and he is using a methodology that you call it as entrepreneurship. So when he is trying to do all these work, he should get an secondary information. If it is a very big firm, the legal methodologies or the structure will be large. If it is a small, if it no need to gather much information, right? So relevantly based on the product you are launching, you should gather information. Too many gathering, too much gathering will also confuse you, isn't it? So what is needed, what is not needed when you gather an information is also very important. Okay, so let me give some of the examples of sources of getting a secondary information. The first one is national census, national census, national sample survey report, plan report, statistical abstract of nationalization, monthly bulletin of Reserve Bank. Every month they will be releasing this. Thereby you will be knowing the demand, what is the price level, what is the shares of the market, everything you will be getting it. Okay, what the annual report of the Department of Commerce and Industry, department under the Department of the Commerce and Industry, the annual reports, the annual survey of industry, the every month you will be getting this economic survey. So study on it, study on the statistics, what they are doing. So these are the some of the sources of getting the secondary information. Okay, coming to the, so now we had seen this situational analysis, how to collect the secondary information. Okay, so what you will be doing, what you will be, okay, now you know from where you can gather it, some of the examples of the sources of gathering information. But gathering information is also like you should get an accurate or correct information also, correct and reliable, and even it should be relevant to your information. So you should first question yourself, who is gathering the information, what is the objective of the information, when was the information gathered. You should even study the date of that information gathered. If you are gathering some 2000 year information, it's useless. You should get the present information, the present market, right? So the date of that information is also very, very important, whether the information is a published or not. Just every website, there are some blogs in the internet, some will be giving the information whether you don't know whether it is correct or not. So you should always, when you are going in terms of entrepreneurship or a commercialized segment, you should study only the published information only. That you call it as collection of secondary information. So here you are concentrating about how to gather the secondary information. Okay, is it clear? Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So what is the time? It is 1:02. So till here I will close the session and let me take the attendance. Okay, so today there are only 85 attendees, and the number is decreasing. Previously it was 100 plus, 120 plus. Okay, but now today only there is a poor attendance. I'm not repeating much. I'm just giving a recap in the next session. So please, in the evening or after 1 hour, I will be uploading it in the YouTube. You can watch it, and I will share it in the WhatsApp groups and even in the post of Triple E. Please watch it and follow me. I'm going very fast. Now I am in the mid of third unit. Okay, it will just take 4 or 5 classes to complete this unit 3. So please travel with me. If you are missing my classes, just call me. If you are missing any video or any previous classes, I am ready to explain it then and there. If you want me to repeat what all the unit 3, after this unit 3, I will try to repeat all the units. So please follow me. Just one day battle for this subject will not fetch you. Just writing own on your papers will not fetch you. There are many technical terms I'm introducing today. So today I have introduced what is a product niche. You don't know what is even I don't know the meaning of niche. If I'm studying on it, I will be, when I'm taking some examples, I'm understanding what is a product niche. So all of you, please travel with me. Please attend my class and do not do the mischief things. I'm requesting you, muting the teacher and removing the students from you. Your final year students, behave like a professional. After 10 months, you are a professional engineer. You are in a person, you will be an employee or you might be an employer, right? So please put in that in the mind, you're not a second year or third year to do this all this mischief or time pass things, right? Thanks a lot. Tomorrow I'll catch you at 11:20, both civil and triple E. Yes, can I wind up the class?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.